So we're going to talk about neuroscience in the brain. This is a simple diagram. This is sort of looking at the brain from the side. And in the front of the brain is the frontal cortex. And that's involved in kind of higher cognitive functions. It's also the brain area that's necessary to suppress the lower, more primitive brain areas that are involved in the fear response. So we share these primitive brain areas like the amygdala and the hippocampus with all kinds of animals, lizards, angry dogs. And I like to think of it like that these primitive brain areas, like if you look at a rat brain, they have a pretty big amygdala, you know, relative to the rest of the brain, but their frontal cortex is just like a little thin, you know, sheet, whereas our frontal cortex is very large. But with time, the frontal cortex is expanded and our heads have changed shape. So rather than having kind of a big snout with the frontal cortex back here, our snout went in and then the skull expanded over the eyes to make more room for the frontal cortex. So that's what really makes us unique from other animal species. And these brain areas, they modulate the endocrine system peripherally, so they do things like if you get attacked, they'll help you to increase your heart rate, increase blood flow to the brain and the muscles where you need them. They inhibit blood flow to the digestive tract, so if you're attacked by a tiger, you don't really need to digest your meal that you had that day, and they inhibit sexual function because you don't really need to have sex right away. And so that's how that works. And then the locus coeruleus is in the brainstem where all the norepinephrine or adrenaline neurons are, and they project throughout the brain, release transmitter, and they increase your attention, and then they affect the heart to increase your heart rate and blood pressure. And then cortisol is released from the adrenal gland, and that's another important stress hormone. And this just shows you another way. The amygdala, if we lesion the amygdala, we cancel out fear memories. The hippocampus is involved in short-term memory, and it's very sensitive to stress. And then here's the medial prefrontal cortex. It's sort of the brake that puts the brake on the reptilian fear system.